example we just went over, right, it was a simple service that the only thing that I was doing is that the service was just returning a string, right? So let's make it just a little bit more interesting, and instead of returning just a plain old string, just have it return at least an object, right? So that we can do some verification of not just a string, but verifying whether the object might have a particular username or password or first name or last name, right? So here's a data model for a user, and here's a service that this might be a service that is going out to a database. Maybe the function might be called find user by ID, and fetching a particular, fetching Alice, knowing Alice's ID. Yes, and then it's returning a user instance. This one obviously is not going out to a database. We'll do that in the next example. So here's a get user. So what we'd like to be able to do is sever the controller. Here's the controller that. Oh, where's the controller? I don't have a controller. Okay, there would be a controller that would listen for /API/users/ the ID of the user, right? And based on that ID, it would go out and use that service to retrieve Alice, whose ID is 123. Yes, right? But as we said earlier, we want to sever that connection. What we're going to do is that we're going to mock that user service, right? And I'm going to configure it so that if anybody calls the get user function that we know is going to return Alice, we're going to configure it so that whoever calls it is going to get this data instead. This could have been Bob or Dan or whatever, right? And so here is the controller calling that service, and instead of getting what the database might have said, we're being given the user object that we have here, which is the expected value, and then we can compare it against the actual value. I'm sorry, the expected value. This is the actual value, and see that whether it's valid. Also, something else that we're introducing today is this other library called JSON Path. JSON Path allows you to parse Java data as if it were some JSON object. Right? So, for instance, we can extract pieces of the response that comes back from the controller and check to see if certain fields in there have a specific value. Here, we're just checking to see if the ID is 123, which matches the ID that we had created earlier.